Hello and welcome to another long Furby video. The most common questions I get are about price, so I decided to challenge myself to see if I could make a long Furby with materials from my local Dollar Tree. I start by looking at my different fabric options. As you can see, this location has many different bandana patterns. I was just about to check out the t-shirts when I stumbled upon these cute little decorative pillows, and I knew I had to use them. I was hoping to use some crafting wire for the spine, but at first all I could find was this very thin floral wire, so I had to keep looking. I couldn't find any clay in the crafting section either, so I thought I may have to make a paper face out of these index cards. In the toy aisle, I found some interesting face alternatives, including these pair of fake teeth. Let me know if you'd like to see a video where I incorporate those into an odd body creation. While I pondered whether or not this video would actually work, I found this nice bit of fur to use as a mane. Just as I had given up hope that I would find anything to sculpt a face with, I found these bags of non-branded modeling dough. Then I turned around and found a slightly thicker gauge wire in form of a garland that I might be able to use as the Furby spine. Altogether, I bought 2 bags of modeling dough, 5 decorative pillows, 1 crazy looking headband, and 2 garlands, which came to a sum total of $10 US. Before I can start making my Furby, I must first destroy these pillows. Start by seam ripping the edges and setting aside the stuffing for later. We want to be able to use as much of this material as possible. One done and 4 more to go. Once that's done, set aside your stuffing to use later and pull out your pattern. Mine is by Boots with the Furb, and I'll put a link in the description to where I downloaded that pattern. Trace the front and back pieces to your pattern onto the fabric using fabric chalk, marker, or pencil. Carefully cut those pieces out. Now you're going to sew the 2 front pieces together down the center and the 2 side back pieces to the center back. Sew on the contrasting tummy fabric to finish the front. For the ears, you'll need to cut 4 identical pieces, 2 of your main fabric and 2 of the contrasting fabric. Sandwich the ear pieces together, right sides together, and sew. To attach the ears, I line them up where they should go on the front half of the Furby and attach the edges there. Now you can sew the front and back halves of the Furby together, making sure that the ears are to the inside. Now to sculpt the face. I happen to already have a 3D printed faceplate from Mr. D's Printed Creations. You could also just look online for images to use for inspiration. Just know that the typical Furby faceplate is about 2 inches by 2 inches. While we watch the me on screen struggling to sculpt without any sculpting tools, might I recommend using any other type of sculpting medium? I expected the modeling dough I purchased to act a lot like Play-Doh, since it was marketed towards younger children. However, it was a lot firmer and much more difficult to work with. For a little more than I actually spent on modeling dough, you could buy Sculpey oven-baked clay, which is a lot easier to work with and will actually dry, unlike whatever this stuff is made of. here he is. I would highly recommend buying actual modeling clay instead of using what I did. To start building the body, measure out how much main fabric you'll need and cut a rectangle to the same width. I cut as many rectangles as I could out of my main fabric. Stitch those together and set them aside. Next you'll measure how wide the belly fabric needs to be, and then you will repeat the same steps. Stitch the belly to the body, one side at a time, until you've created a long tube. When attaching the head to the body, make sure that the right sides of the fabric are facing together. Cut a circle the same circumference as the body and attach it to the bum. Turn the body right side out and admire what a lovely noodle you've made. To try to make the garland stiff enough to use as a spine, I attempted to double it up on itself as many times as I could. Unfortunately, even then, the wire wasn't strong enough to help the Furby hold his shape. Instead, I would recommend a trip down to the hardware store where you can find thicker gauge wire for just a few dollars per foot. It would make a much nicer alternative to this baby garland. Now you can stuff the Furby, bringing back that stuffing that you had set aside earlier. When doing so, make sure to keep the spine as centered as possible. Once that's done, finish up the bottom with some hand stitches. The cleaner method to attach the mane to the Furby would be, of course, by using hand sewing. However, I decided to use hot glue and it worked just fine. This is what the face looks like after sitting for 2 weeks. I tried to bake it in the oven and apply Mod Podge, and still it's pretty soft. Kudos to the Dollar Tree for inventing a child's Play-Doh that never ever dries out. Anyway, determined not to wait any longer, I very carefully attached the face to the body with a good amount of hot glue. And with that, a brand new long Furby, an odd body, a long boy is born. Their spine might not be all that functional, but that does not dull their spirit, no sir. They are a DIY creation, a budget queen, the sleep paralysis demon of your nightmares. Congratulations! With this video, I just wanted to prove that a long Furby can be achieved at almost any price point, and you don't need to have the nicest of materials. Fur in any form will shed though. You have been warned. If you've stuck around this long, thanks for watching. If you have any video suggestions or questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I love to read them, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!